Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Srinvatam Sukatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayanta Stoya Bhadrani Vidhanoti Shuhissatam Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, verses 13 and 14. Text 13. Tirya Nag Dvija Sarasrapa Deva Daitya Martya Dhaibhi Parichitam Sad Asad Vishesham Rupam Isthabistham Aj Te Mahat Adi Anekam Nata Param Vedmi Na Yatra Vadaha. Synonyms: Tiryak, by animals, naga, trees, dvija, birds, sarasrapa, reptiles, deva, demigods, daitya, demons, mritya, adibhi, by men, etc. Parichitam, pervaded, sat, asat, vishesham, with the varieties manifest and unmanifest, rupam, forms, isthavishtham, gross, universal, aja, O unborn, te, yours, mahat, Adib, caused by total material energy, etc. Anekam, various causes, not atah, from this, param, transcendental, parama, O supreme, vedmi, I know, not, yatra, where, vada, various arguments. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, O supreme unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities, such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings, are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But I have never experienced the supreme form I behold as I see you now. Now all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He has spread Himself throughout the universe, but although everything is resting upon Him, He is aloof. The same concept is expressed here by Dhruv Maharaj. He states that before seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, he had experienced only the varieties of material forms, which are counted at 8,400,000 species of aquatics, birds, beasts, etc. The fact is that unless one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, it is impossible to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.55. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Factual understanding of absolute truth, who is the supreme person, cannot be obtained by any process other than devotional service. Dhruv Maharaj here compares his previous state of understanding with the perfection of understanding in the presence of the Supreme Lord. The position of a living entity is to render service. Unless he comes to the stage of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he engages in the service of the various forms of trees, reptiles, animals, men, demigods, etc. One can experience that one man engages in the service of a dog, another serves plants and creepers, another the demigods, and another humanity or his boss in the office. But no one is engaged in the service of Krishna. Aside from common men, even men who are elevated in terms of spiritual understanding are at the utmost engaged in the service of the Virat Roop, or unable to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. They worship voidism by meditation. Dhruv Maharaj, however, had been blessed by the Supreme Lord. When the Lord touched his conch shell to Dhruv's forehead, Real knowledge was revealed from within, and Dhruv could understand the Lord's transcendental form. Dhruv Maharaj here admits that not only was the not only was he ignorant, but by years he was only a child. It would not have been possible for an ignorant child to appreciate the supreme form of the Lord had he not been blessed by the Lord, who had touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead. Text 14. Kal, Kalpant etad akhilam jatarena grahanam sete puman swadrag anant sakhas tad anke yan nabhi sindhu ruha kanchan lok padma garbhe द्युमान भगवते प्रणतो अस्मि tasmai. Synonyms: kalp ante, at the end of the millennium; etat, this universe; akhilam, all; jatarena, within the belly; grahanam, withdrawing; sete, lies down; Uman, the supreme person; swadrak, looking upon himself; anant, the ultimate being; sesha; sakha, accompanied by; tat anke, on his lap; yat, from whose; nabhi, navel; sindhu, ocean; ruha, sprouted; kanchan, golden; loka, planet; padma, of the lotus; garbhe, on the uh, whorl; Dhyuman, Lord Brahma; Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead; Pranatah, offering obeisances; Asmi, I am; Tasmai, unto him. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, at the end of each millennium, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshasai Vishnu, dissolves everything manifested within the universe into his belly. He lies down on the lap of Sheshnag. From his navel sprouts a golden lotus flower on a stem, and on that lotus, Lord Brahma is created. I can understand that you are the same Supreme Godhead. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhruv Maharaj's understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is complete. In the Vedas it is said, Kashmin Bhagavo Vignate Sarvam Idam Vijnatam Bhavati. Knowledge received through the transcendental, causeless mercy of the Lord is so perfect that by that knowledge the devotee becomes acquainted with all the different manifestations of the Lord. Lord Kshirodakshai Vishnu was present before Dhruva Maharaj, who could also understand the Lord's two other forms, namely Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Karanodakshai Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Regarding Mahavishnu, it is stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.48, Yasaik nisvasita kalam atha valambhya jivanti lom vilaja jagat and natha Vishnur Mahan sa iha yasya kal visesho govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. At the end of each and every millennium, when all the material worlds are dissolved, everything enters the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is lying on the lap of Seshnag, another form of the Lord. Those who are not devotees cannot understand different forms of Vishnu and their positions in regard to the creation. Sometimes the atheists argue, how can a flower stem sprout from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu? They consider all the statements of Shastras to be stories. As a result of their inexperience in the absolute truth and their reluctance to accept authority, they become more and more atheistic. They cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But a devotee like Dhruv Maharaj, by the grace of the God, Lord, knows all the manifestations of the Lord and their different positions. It is said that anyone who has even a little of the Lord's grace can understand his glories. Others may go on speculating on the absolute truth, but they will always be unable to understand the Lord. In other words, unless one comes in contact with a devotee, it is not possible to understand the transcendental form or the spiritual world and its transcendental activities.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, as per schedule, today is 12 and 13, Prabhu. We missed it today. Can you read 12, Prabhu? Can you summarize 12 and 13?
Oh, I was supposed to do 13 and 14.
No, I saw the schedule. It's 12 and 13. Said 18 September.
Oh my God. Okay. Text 12. Tena svarante itaram priyamish martyam ye chanvada sut suhradad graha vittidara ye twab janab bhavadiya padarvindam sogandh lubd hridayeshu krat prasanga. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and life, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A special advantage in devotional service is that devotee do not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord by hearing and chanting and glorifying them, but also are very much attached to their bodies, unlike their yogis who are too attached to the body and who think that by performing bodily gymnastic exercises, they will advance in spiritual consciousness. Yogis are generally not very much interested in devotional service. They want to regulate the breathing process. This is simply a bodily concern. Here, Dhruv Maharaj plainly says that a devotee has no more bodily interest. He knows that he is not the body from the very beginning. Therefore, without wasting time in bodily exercises, a devotee searches out a pure devotee and simply by his association becomes more advanced in spiritual consciousness than any yogi. Because a devotee knows that he is not the body, he is never affected by bodily happiness and distress. He is not interested in bodily relationships with wife, children, home, bank balance, etc., or in the distress and happiness which come from these things. This is the special advantage of being devotee. This status of life is possible only when a person is interested in associating with a pure devotee who always enjoys the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 13. Tiriyan Nag Dvij Sarisrapa. I read 13 already. Tiriyan Nag Dvijad Sarispa Deva Detya Martya Dhibhi Parichitam Sad Asad Vishesham Rupam Isthavishtham Ajte Mahad Adi Anekam Nata Param Parama Vedi Na Yatra Vada. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that different varieties of living entities such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest, but I have never experienced the supreme form. I behold as I see you now. Now, all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end.
Prabhu, it's already read, right? You can summarize.
Yeah, already read. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry for the confusion. So, in these verses, I think the main uh, message is that association of devotees is very important. It's very significant to make progress in devotional service. And the other key point is that devotional service is very important to really realize the Supreme Personality of God and his different forms. Without devotional service, one cannot experience the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his, different manifestations. So, association with devotees means uh, association with Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord. And then, being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. Association of devotees assumes great significance in this regard because it reminds a living entity of the grave misfortune of leading a materialistic life. As we have seen and read in the scriptures time and time again, that living a materialistic life by engaging in fruitive activities, one becomes entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Srila Rup Goswami in Nectar of Devotion delineates the actions that help boost one's devotional life and those actions that serve as obstacles, hindering one's spiritual progress. Srila Rup Goswami in his Nectar of Devotion writes that associating with worldly minded people who are not drawn to devotion uh, is one such action that is detrimental in spiritual progress. Uh, he therefore urges a serious devotee of Lord Krishna to renounce such material association in order to achieve success in her spiritual endeavors. The Vedic literatures are full of such evidences that establish the great benefits of associating with Vaishnava. This association with Vaishnava is called Sadhu Sangha. Spirituality fosters in the association of devotees, while association with materialistic company promotes materialistic pursuits. Hence, the wise choose their association carefully, realizing that their consciousness is affected by the company they keep. Spirit and matter are fundamentally opposed to each other. One can either live in spiritual or else in material consciousness. In the same way, material and spiritual attachments are inversely proportional to each other. That is, if a spiritual attachment goes up, the material attachment goes down, and vice versa. As we all know that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is master of infinite number of potencies, which can be classified into three categories, namely internal potency, marginal potency, and external potency. The internal energy of the Supreme Lord constitutes the eternal, blissful, and cognizant spiritual world. Those who possess a spiritual consciousness and seek the shelter of Supreme Lord fall within the purview of the Lord's internal energy, Ladani Shakti. On the other hand, this temporary world of matter falls within the purview of the Lord's external energy. The living entities of this world, however, belong to the marginal potency of the Lord, or in Hindi, Tatastha Shakti. This means that uh, living entities have some effect of Lord's internal energy and some effect of Lord's material energy. Thus, living entities of this world have a choice to be attracted to either the world of spirit or the world of matter. Though the living entity is a part and parcel of Supreme Lord and spiritual by nature, yet sometimes it becomes overwhelmed by this temporary world of dull matter or Lord's external energy. Those living beings who grow bewildered by external or illusory energy of the Lord, Maya, and ultimately try to enjoy this temporary material world, become controlled by the external potency of the Lord. These unfortunate living entities deviate from their constitutional position as the servant of the Supreme Lord and indulge in sense gratification. However, their efforts die only in frustration, since flickering sensual pleasures can never satisfy a living entity who is eternally hankering for pure spiritual bliss. On the other hand, the devotees of Krishna who choose to engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord become controlled by the Lord's internal energy. In the absence of the association of pure devotees, it becomes very hard for a living entity to escape the illusory energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Lord Krishna said that this material energy of the Lord is very difficult to overcome for a living entity. Mam Maya Duratyaya. But the objective of overcoming the Maya is easily accomplished by those who surrender unto the Supreme Lord and seek His divine shelter. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam eta tarantite etam tarantite. The association of devotees assumes great significance in this regard, as it reminds a living entity of the great misfortune of leading a materialistic life and helps him pursue the ultimate objective of engaging in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. I close here. Thank you very much, devotees. Please forgive me for any shortcomings.